Oh, we missed some of the fun pre-show banter for outtakes, so we have to have some good ones that I have to cut out of the actual editing.
Well, we could re-say them.
No, I don't think
But I could read them.
We'll restage everything.
Halo was the reason I bought an Xbox. I gotta say, any English major I know is really weird, though. One of my best friends is an English major, and he's a freaking nut job.
You know, it occurs to me that if we never actually introduced him as anything other than Moag, no one would probably notice.
My grandma called a few minutes ago and didn't know didn't know if it was me or my dad. I went to college in Nebraska and people thought I was weird. I mean, because I say war, and I mean, my response is always, okay, say the word car. I mean, how do you say it? Yeah, that's right. Just because you pronounce it like whore doesn't mean I do.
Welcome to the Cavern Today Over the Fence. For a little background on the Over the Fence production, the Cavern Today was originally conceived as a fan project surrounding Uru in specific and the Myst franchise in general, with its roots beginning in the time of Until Uru. However, Uru just isn't happening now, although there might be some news on that front. Hush hush. And while we at the Cavern Today wish Cyan the best, whether we wanted to or not, we've all moved on into other pursuits in games and technology. We're fans of the Myst and Uru adventure games, but like many of you, we're fans of other games, other game genres, tech, and many things that in some cases only tangentially tie into the Myst universe. So with that, we give you Over the Fence Episode 3 for November 18th, 2009. With us today, we have a treat. We have the son of Griff, or what people will know as Moag. We have Ben. Say hi, Ben.
Hey, everybody.
We have Patrick, or Morris.
Hello.
And we have Jeff, formerly known as Jeff.
Hi.
The Jeff formerly known as Jeff.
So to kick it right off, first bullet point, and these are in no particular order. The Unreal 3 engine is now freely available for use and development. Of course, if you release something in retail, you will have to pay a fee. But in any case, I think the Unreal 3 engine is a very notable engine because it's in a lot of games. I mean, it's almost like a who's list in the gaming industry, like Batman Arkham Asylum, BioShock 1 and 2, Borderlands, which was recently released, Gears of War 1 and 2. Actually, Gears of War was the first tech demo that we actually saw of the Unreal 3 engine before it was even in a game. Mass Effect 1 and 2, Mirror's Edge, Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2, and Unreal Tournament 3, just to name a few. There's plenty of them. I think this is an impressive event, something great for anyone who wants to dabble in this kind of thing. The licensing fees seem awfully pricey, but then again, I think developing games is not cheap. Has anyone ever priced out, just for the heck of it, what it would cost it to license an engine for development? Or is that just me?
Probably just you.
When the Unreal Engine 3 was first released, like when Gears of War around that time, I believe the fee just to license the engine was $100,000. You know, so if anyone had any dreams of hitting the lottery and buying Cyan a new engine developed on, we were talking some serious money. But now it's they have two provisos. If you license on a workstation, I believe it's about $2,500 per workstation, or what they call per seat, for a year, which means it has to renew at the end of the year. And they also, if you release a product, they get a cut of the profits, and I forget the exact cut. So moving on, another fun piece is the secret anti-piracy treaty that turns ISPs into pirates.
Yeah.
So what it essentially is doing is saying that if piracy is discovered on an ISP's service and the ISP doesn't take action within a certain amount of time, the ISP is now blamed as the pirate. So if you don't exterminate those rats in your yard, you are now breeding rats because that's it's your yard. I guess that's kind of the way they're looking at it. And so any strong feelings on that either way?
Well, actually, I think it's kind of a good idea in the sense that for a long time, piracy has been strongly protected by blame shifting, and no one could figure out who exactly to blame for all the piracy going on. The pirates would say, well, they can't get the pirates, obviously, because you can't stop piracy, no matter what kind of preventive measures you put into place, like DRM. All that stuff is just kind of a waste of time. Pirates figure out how to get past it in no time at all, and so you have to go and blame the ISPs and get them to do something, but it's not their fault either. It's just there really is no way to capture any of the pirates, to get them.
Well, the prosecutions has been working. I mean, they say that the Pirate Bay, really didn't suffer, but where is the Pirate Bay?
It's still there.
But it doesn't serve the purpose it once served, or at least not as well. There's also you have problems like kids in a family or grandkids, who are more knowledgeable about computers than their parents or grandparents, and their, the RIAA or the MPAAs comes knocking on the door, and the parents and the grandparents have no idea why they're at their door. They had no idea that was going on.
It's really a sticky thing. The problem with the internet is everything is so easy to get for anyone, and it really kind of eats up the morality of the whole thing. For example, that one game developer had that World of Goo. They had a special sale where you pay what you want to sale, and sadly, through PayPal, most people only paid 1 penny, which means that the developer has to eat up the PayPal cost, because I think they charge like 50 cents for every transaction under $1.
Yeah.
So it was kind of sad that so many people just paid a penny. I mean, at that point, you're like, just pay $1.
Well,
help these guys out.
That makes me wonder, how much people Infinity Ward would have made if people paid what they thought it was worth.
I mean, I think there's some legitimate value in that kind of thinking, because you're helping encourage people to buy a game that they wouldn't otherwise buy if that you didn't have a crazy sale like that. So I mean, at least they're getting awareness of their game out more. But it's kind of sad that so many people chose to pay not even 50 cents. They paid a penny.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds unfair to the company, but I mean, don't let people choose their own prices then.
Yeah, or set the minimum at $1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell people, I mean, if you say pay what you want for a car, I mean, yeah, people are going to pay less.
Well, it makes me want to talk about the Valve explains how to compete with piracy, but I want to talk about Modern Warfare first. Let's move on to the online retailers boycotting Modern Warfare 2, and this doesn't really affect you, Ben, although I feel you chomping at the bit over there.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Can I say one thing before we move on?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Arr, we be setting sail on the World Wide Web.
I got that flash video, the do what you want, blah, 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 blah. You are a pirate.
The Lazy Town.
Oh, God.
No, somebody did a flash video, and it just loops, and it's...
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. I should have just linked it to it.
It was good input.
So anyway, the online retailers, of course, don't include Steam, although Steam did a little thing that screwed PC gamers, and I don't understand the reasoning behind it, but we'll get to that. I know that the one service that isn't selling it is Direct2Drive, which is GameSpy's online distribution service of the game, and that's because the game links to Steam as a necessary part of actually running in multiplayer, and because of that, it's like they would be endorsing a competing product, and they didn't want to do that. Same thing for Impulse. And this was just what a little while ago Randy Pitchford from Gearbox was complaining that Steam may be becoming too big for their own britches in the industry. And I don't know. I kind of, to me, it's kind of both ways, because you get games in Steam that require Games for Windows to be installed for it to run. I mean, it won't save unless you can log into Games for Windows Live, which means if Games for Windows Live's connection dies, you'll get kicked from the game immediately, which to me is so stupid. Like if you're on Xbox and the connection is lost, it'll tell you it's lost, but it doesn't stop you from saving your game or stop you from playing.
Yeah. Steam is getting bigger than... I mean, everything is not so streamlined with Steam, and I would like it if everything, that's on Steam would run through Steam, but it's hard for them to accommodate third parties by doing that.
Well, one part that they have something called Steam Cloud. This is one of the annoying things of reinstalling your computer is if you don't remember to back up all your game saves, they'll be gone unless they're saved in your documents folder and you back that up. And so the Steam Cloud, where they were going to... It's, like Steam Cloud refers to like cloud computing, like you use Gmail and your email's just all out there on the Gmail server. You don't actually have to run Outlook. You can just log into Gmail anywhere you want to go. And so similarly, with Steam, anytime you log in, you can download your game and download your saves, and then no problems. Actually, Trine actually was the first game that I've used on there that actually did it.
Oh, does it work well? That sounds great.
Yes.
I didn't even know about that.
So when you shut off the game, if you look at Steam, you'll see the little dotted line that forms on the top of it to tell it it's connecting to the network, which means it's uploading your save game.
Oh.
Anyway.
I recently, after a very grueling process, managed to get a Windows partition working on my Mac computer. And more importantly, I managed to get Steam running. And this is the first time I've ever seen Steam. And I'm just like, games! And it's so cool.
Yeah, it's
So, I'm seeing it for the first time. So.
Well, when Steam first came out, it was really terrible. When you played Half-Life 2, the early Steam, Steam was actually a pull on your system resources, and Half-Life would run worse because of it. And so it was kind of annoying. I think today's proliferation of dual-core, quad-core processors and the mountains of RAM we now have in systems, it's become kind of a non-issue.
Because even this is a Core 2 Duo, so...
Yeah. I think once you get to a dual core, a lot of the issues that cause these little hiccups disappear. So, all right.
Steam is your worst enemy if you've been drinking and it's late at night. A couple of glasses of wine, it's like,
oh dear.
Whoa, a new game.
Half price?
It's like, I'll play it.
I want that.
Yeah.
So, still getting closer to Modern Warfare 2, Ben, but not there yet.
No problem. I'm still here.
PC Modern Warfare 2, it's much worse than you thought. This is from Ars Technica, and
Dum, dum, dum.
this is actually an annoying thing to read. This is the kind of thing, and I know because, Jeff and Ben just earlier were just gushing about how great Modern Warfare 2 is, but to give you an example, some of the stupid things they were saying is they ask questions like, are they going to allow the mods and the field of view change, whatever, and they're like, we want you to play it the way we balanced it. So that, every time the community asks a question, they would kind of kick back. They said, well, will we still be able to kick people and have rank matches and stop hackers, who get past VAC, which is Valve's anti-cheat program. And Infinity Ward was like, our goal is to ban hackers from the game. And I've worked in a department before, where you get these answers from management that aren't really an answer, and that's a perfect example. It's essentially, we're doing it our way. Thanks for asking.
We plan to arrest criminals.
Exactly.
Break laws.
They ask, is the PC version a direct port of the console version? And this is the answer. And to me, this is almost laugh out loud funny. It says, no, the PC has custom stuff like mouse control, text chat in-game, and graphic settings.
Ow. That hurt my brain.
Oh, you ported it to the PC
Really
and made it work on the PC's default configuration, and those are features.
God, wow.
So the good news is that someone has actually gotten a dedicated server running on Modern Warfare 2. I don't know if they've upped the player cap, but although, of course, one of the things they've done is they've added alterations, like low gravity matches where people are jumping 150 feet in the air and having grenade launchers that don't ever need to be reloaded, that kind of thing. And so that's kind of the epitome of why they probably didn't want those kinds of things, because they didn't want those kinds of things actually getting achievements and ranks and what have you. But there's a couple of things that they've told us about it, and a couple of things that you can surmise now based on the latest news. It's kind of funny, the company kind of gives us enough rope to hang it. It's just kind of funny. We have things like this IW.net. Is everyone familiar with this? Am I the only one who's heard of it? InfinityWard.net.
I don't know anything about it.
It's some kind of matchmaking service that they are running. I don't know if it's PC only or if it's actually the background stuff of what's happening on the Xbox. It's peer-to-peer multiplayer, and the way it's done is what in PC gaming would be called a listen server, where you actually run and host the game on your box and people join your game, which, of course, if your machine can handle running all of that simultaneously, you are given an advantage because you have zero ping, because you are the host. But that's actually kind of the way the Xbox does it. You get a group of people together, and whoever's got the best connection based on the system's evaluation becomes the host, and everyone else is joined to their network. But no one really knows who's going to end up with it. I played Uncharted 2 online the other day. I could have been the host. Who knows? So in any case, that's one of the things that they're doing. But then they're talking about things like they're trying to get rid of piracy. They're trying to do all these things. But then the news comes out lately that they're talking about a pay-for-play model around Modern Warfare 2. And that's where it gets a little interesting. Are we ready for a first-person shooter multiplayer MMO pricing structure? And this, Ben, has got to ring with you at least a little bit, because you've been used to playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, without any additional fees except for Xbox Live for who knows how long. And now they're talking about, oh, well, we'll give you the extra stuff if you pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't even have Live, so I'm not real familiar with this stuff.
Really?
But I mean, anything that would, if they're gonna say, yeah, you can have Live and pay for that and then still pay more, I mean, that does seem, that's stupid. I mean, I'm already paying for Live. Why should I have more fees?
Exactly.
Other than they want more money.
Furthermore, that fragments the user base, the people you're playing with. Anyone who doesn't pay, that kind of cuts down the number of people that the matchmaking thing could set you up with if you want to play online with other people.
Unless they start doing microtransactions. A lot of these free-to-play MMOs do this. When I dabble with Free Realms, I saw that where for $5 a month you can have all the features turned on, whatever. It's not very much. It's only $5. But wait, do you want a pet? Well, yeah, that's more. Or do you want this outfit? Oh, that's more. That kind of thing.
$5 adds up.
And nickel and dime to death.
It doesn't sound much like the first time, but it's like if I buy a soda at the gas station every day, it's only $1.10 or something, but I do that 7 days a week for 365 days a year. It adds up. It keeps going.
Yeah. When you can buy a 2-liter from the store for less, usually.
In the long run, it is a business, and they're trying to make money.
I don't know.
Microtransactions have always been a part of this modern age of online gaming. At first, everyone heard about the horse armor debacle when Oblivion came out, which you could, pay like $5 and download armor for your horse that doesn't have any function in the game other than making your horse look different. People saw this as kind of a let's pelt our user base with all these stupid things for little tiny microtransactions. And it's funny how some of those microtransactions have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger over time. The average price of a game on Xbox Live has slowly shifted from $5 to $15.
Yeah. You mean the arcade games?
Yeah, the Xbox Live arcade games. Okay.
I like the idea of offering the games on Xbox Live Marketplace, like BioShock is on there, and I haven't taken stock of all the games they have on there, but BioShock to me is if you haven't played it, it's an awesome game to play, but it's just of course single player only. But
it's a great game. But most of the games that are offered on Xbox Live itself are overpriced by about $10.
Yeah, and they're selling things like the outfits for your little avatar dude, and I was like, that stuff is worth like 50 cents, no more. And they're like $5. I'm like, are you kidding me?
People pay money for that?
Yeah, like some people do.
Are you serious?
I've got people on my friends list who do, and you kind of want to open up a chat with them and then make fun of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I do.
The what they have in there has increased over time, and thankfully so. But actually, what I don't like is you can have a male character, but if you keep going through the hairstyles, you'll end up in the girls' hairstyles. I was like, can't we flip a switch where it splits the gender? But I guess
I'll admit I almost did give my guy pigtails though.
Oh, I knew somebody was going to say that.
Well, of course,
a couple of folks who have pigtails,
pigtails and mutton chops or something. Come on.
So, anyway, the point I wanted to make about the Penny Arcade bit was they have these arguments that they say that PC gamers like to make about piracy. And since our next point is piracy, I thought this would be an interesting thing to say. The 3 points are: A, there's no piracy, which is just silly to say. 2, to the extent that piracy exists, which it doesn't, it's your fault, pointing at the publishers or the developers. And 3, if you try to protect your game, we'll steal it as a matter of principle. And that's the part that really gets me. Moving over to our next point here is PC piracy. A couple of points to make on it. Valve explained their take on piracy, which is that pirates are just underserved customers, which, again, also kind of links me back to the Modern Warfare discussion, because I don't know. I feel like the increase in price in Modern Warfare 2 is arbitrary. I don't think there's any justification that's been spoken for about it, except for possibly the setup of their IW.net. Maybe that was a cost that they just tacked onto the price of the game. I don't know. But Valve has proven, by having sales on their games on Steam, which any PC gamer has seen at some point if you have Steam, that the sales have just skyrocketed. Like when they sold Left 4 Dead for half price. I don't know how far into the life cycle of the game.
It was only like 2 or 3 months after the game released. That was their first holiday, so that's when I bought the game.
Yeah, they beat out the first 3 weeks of sales cumulatively added up by doing that.
Yeah, I ended up buying 3 copies of the game. I bought 2 as gifts for friends because it was so cheap.
Yeah. The thing I don't like about the piracy is the principle of stealing because someone isn't doing what you want. If someone isn't doing what you want, then don't patronize their product. Don't spend time on it. Don't spend bandwidth on it. Don't speak about it. And what makes it even funnier is there was a Steam group created called Boycott Modern Warfare 2. I might have the name wrong. And there's a screenshot on the net. If you walk in gaming news circles, you will see it, where they show the Steam group, and like more than half of the group is in game playing Modern Warfare 2. I'm like, yay for the boycott.
No, but that's one.
How could you help yourself? That game is way too awesome to not
exactly.
play.
That's actually where I have ended up here, as I was downloading it earlier from Steam, and it's not done yet, sadly.
That's one thing I've noticed. I mean, with all this talk about Modern Warfare 2, basically turning away its community, that kind of thing, and that the community is basically not there. I've noticed a lot of people have been buying this game and really liking it. So clearly, people are playing it.
Yeah, I think Infinity Ward knows what they're doing, and that's kind of the sad truth of the matter. No matter how much their decisions seem to chafe people, we know that they make quality games.
Well, and there was some really weird stuff leading up to the release of the game. I don't know if any of you saw that video for, Fags Fight Against Grenade Spam?
Oh, yes,
or something.
yes. I was gonna avoid that topic, but okay, tell us about it.
It was really baffling to me. It was this video, and I guess they got some baseball player or something to talk about. It was like they was just talking about grenade spam in combat, and it was kind of like a public service video. But at the end, it just kind of flashes this big letters, fags, fight against grenade spam, and it's just. People got instantly offended.
Well, I think that they were trying to be edgy and cool, and
but that's just weird.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
Well, their goal is probably just to catch attention, and I mean, with that name, people are going to go. People are at least going to go, "What?"
Yeah, exactly, and
it's not the most tasteful, but
and also it's also something they say if you're on Xbox Live, on voice chat, you're going to hear that quite a bit.
Right, but some of this had to have gone through Activision PR at some point before it got released, and I'm just surprised that no one, kind of caught it before it went out or said something. I don't know. It was conspiracy. Yeah.
They made a big retraction on it, and I actually saw a Sessler soapbox, Adam Sessler, who's on G4 TV. I don't know if it's just the channel or the website. I only look at the website. He was talking about it. But then it was kind of funny. At the end, he said a word, and it sounded like it started with a P, and then they bleeped it, and it sounded like he might have said, I don't want to say it. But anyway, they said, well, you can use that word, but we can't use this word. I'm like, well, that does kind of, muddy the line, except I don't know that the one word particularly discriminates, whereas the other one does. And that was the kind of the point. So Modern Warfare 2, is it just that awesome? Is that what you're saying?
It's pretty awesome.
If you're in it for the gameplay, which I am, but like I said, I don't even have Xbox Live. I mean, I'll get it eventually and play it, but if you're in it for the gameplay, the game is magnificent. I mean, it's just from every time you turn a corner, you're afraid of somebody jumping out at you, and the plot is good, the gameplay is good. Everything about the gameplay of that game was probably the best I've ever played.
They have some really amazing set pieces and really well-staged moments in the game, which make it feel very, very cinematic. There's parts where you go up over the ridge and you can get a full view of the battlefield and you see the full scope of what's going on around you, and they've got this music that swells up right at that moment. It really is like Saving Private Ryan kind of stuff.
Yeah. I was actually had some misgivings about the no Russian level, the one making the scandalous rounds around the internet, the terrorist attack on the airport kind of thing, and because you participate in it, what have you, and it's a gameplay moment. And when we first saw it was out of context, so we don't know, like, are you playing as a terrorist? And so like in Modern Warfare 1, you were in the SAS and you were a Marine, because you jump back and forth in the shoes of these two characters. I'm like, wait a minute, are we playing as a terrorist? Because, then people were all up in arms, no, I don't want to be a terrorist, and I'll boycott it just because of this. And so my problem with it is actually more moral, which is kind of strange for me to say, because I love me some violent video gaming. But as an example, I play Borderlands, and there are different types of killing strategies, explosive shots which will blow the limbs off of your characters as they land in their chest, and shots to the head that liquefy the head, spraying the shoulders in blood. But like the place where this doesn't bother me is these people are attacking me. It's them or me, and that's where it gets a little different for me, where I had to take a minute and step back and take a look at it and say, I'm like, well, this is actually kind of bothering me, and it's I guess it's because it's more realistic than I'm used to, and though I do like that in a game, and I actually prefer playing against like people, not zombies, not mutants, not aliens, nothing that's like people, as opponents. And so it took me a minute to realize what I had about it. It was because I saw it as reality, and for me, games were kind of escapism. So I finally got over it and finally decided I was going to buy the game. But I have a feeling that it's not going to be a level that I'll enjoy playing again and again and again, because I don't see, until you get up against the SWAT portion, because I've watched the whole video, it doesn't look like a level I'm going to be enjoying.
If it helps, you have the option. At the beginning of the game, it says that there's a mission in this game that can offend people. If you don't want to play it, hit no here, and it'll skip the mission. I don't know what it does. I played it. Honestly, I really didn't shoot people until people started shooting at me, because the guys you're with, the terrorists that you're with, they don't do anything to you. I mean, I spent the majority of the time just kind of walking around with them and wishing they weren't doing what they were doing. But because I feel the same way that you did, Jonathan, that I really, if somebody's shooting at me in a game, yeah, sure, I'll shoot back. I have no problem. But it's the shooting the innocent people that was where I have the issues. Like I feel weird because it's a video game, but I'll genuinely feel bad if I kill an innocent person in a game. And but let's think, this one, I mean, you do have the option. First off, you can not play it, and second, you can also just walk through and not shoot any innocent people. But it's still just it's graphic, and I mean it's because you really do. I mean, like, there's people crawling around and bleeding, and I mean it's very graphic to see these people. Like, you don't feel bad when you see the Russian soldier that was just firing at you, drag himself around a little bit. Yeah. But the innocent woman who was just walking with her husband, that's kind of a different situation. I can understand being offended by it. But I'll still stand by that if people don't want to play it, they don't have to play it. You can skip that mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, and furthermore, I think it really is just in there to be shocking. It's one of those things that they went out of their way to make it shocking. In fact, in that level, you have to walk through the stage. You can't run. The pace is way slower than any other level in the game, and they kind of force you to savor what's going on around you. And personally, I thought it was very bold, and I liked that they did it, because for me, I felt that it was kind of helping to force the player to combat these kinds of issues that actually do happen in the world. I mean, to kind of explore, inside themselves, whether this is something that will bother them or not, maybe. And, kind of confronting the possibilities that, these kind of course of events could conceivably happen in their lives, and this is something that happens overseas to other people all the time. The Middle East, it kind of forces you to be in the shoes of someone other than, a blissful, unaware American.
Well, that's one of the points I brought up in the last podcast. We are rather detached from a lot of this stuff. I mean, all the bad news we keep hearing in these other countries, it's in the other countries. It's not really a problem here. There was a blog I read in regards to this particular one, and it kind of struck me, because the guy he had to rethink his mentality towards the game over this whole section. And that's one of the things that has been brought up. Like, a lot of people say it's bold, and it's important, because if we're going to get games to be on a even playing field artistically, like movies and other things, like, this is one of the things that have one of the thresholds we have to cross. And if it was in a movie, there would be no question whether it was acceptable or not. It's in a movie.
Yeah. Passenger 57.
So there's that, and there's what was kind of funny in the blog is he talked about how he kind of went along with it. And then at some point he realized he could shoot his characters with him, the other terrorists. I mean, you can't succeed at that. I mean, the level ends and you screw up, and I guess the guy becomes bulletproof, so that you cannot possibly thwart that particular story point. But he said that he felt like he should keep doing that and keep dying to sort of balance out the equation that he let it go for so long without him even trying to stop it. He actually had like video gamer guilt.
Well, I mean, hopefully, you would think that nobody's playing this and going, ah, ha, 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 and somebody's that sadistic.
But
people are. You know people are.
Yeah, well, the fact that the game Postal sells it all tells you there are people.
Yeah, hopefully, what's going on here is that like it's not even like it's that it's actually, again, like as you said, bringing sort of a sense of awareness, saying like, wow, this is real, and I just had to do that. And actually making them feel bad, and possibly making them, think more about even current events that are going on. So
actually,
at least there's
I'm sorry.
No achievement for killing civilians.
Almost like it's propaganda by showing it through the opposite propaganda in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I kind of get the idea. I think a part of it was just to show the villain of the game, because he's there, and I think part of it is just to show that that's how evil this guy is. And I mean, maybe there's part of a real world thing to make people aware, but I think, for me, I kind of think on that level of it is that part of it was just to show that that's how ruthless this guy is, because you get news reports early on in the game saying that he says the bombings won't stop, basically saying he doesn't care who he kills as long as he gets the power that he wants.
I mean, it's kind of says a lot about the guy that the airport massacre, as it is a preventive. I mean, the Americans let it happen as a preventive measure to stop this guy from doing something even worse. And if you got to think, if there's something worse that this guy can do than massacre thousands of people in an airport.
Well, I thought part of it was also to build up motivation to definitely not fail in this mission. I thought that was another piece of it. I mean, that was, again, I haven't played the game yet, so I can't say for sure. By the time this podcast airs, I will have played it, but
I still think just a chunk of it was just to say that for the game or the player of the game to understand this is who this guy is. This is what he'll do. He's absolutely ruthless. He doesn't care who lives. He doesn't care who dies. And for you to understand him, and then also probably get some motivation that, okay, now we know we're truly against him, and I really don't like him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not a whole lot of terrorist leaders that we're fans of or anything, but just to really truly set you against him.
Exactly.
To first
look what he made you do.
Yeah.
But just firsthand see what he does.
Well, I also Jeff and I were talking before about how he likes the setting being actually on American soil, making it a little more hard hitting. And I've picked up a few videos, and I've been trying not to watch too much of the game because I don't want to spoil it. But there's a point where they're flying over what looks like a Ruby Tuesdays or TGI Fridays, and they also they looks like they blow up a gas station, which looks like a marathon. And you mentioned something looking like Burger King, but I didn't see that in the video.
There's a place called Burger Town, and the logo is meant to look just like Burger King.
Well, somebody earlier mentioned that it's like, Everytown, USA. I think that's, because it looks like, the old neighborhood or whatever, and I think that's where the game really hits home, and like that's where it became extremely intense for me, was as Americans, we don't think of our country as being invaded, and whoa, now it's happening, and you're seeing it, and it's just it was a well done part of the game, and I think had the effect that they were looking for.
I miss Captain Price though.
Oh yes,
just another day at the office.
Oh, that guy's so cool. It's not even fair.
He's awesome.
And I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, how did a Muppet like you get out of selection? Like, what? You just called me a Muppet?
But you didn't care because you would follow his mustache into battle any day.
And
because it could block bullets.
Yeah, looking as cool as can be as we're flying out in the helicopter. He's got his gear on. He's got a wetsuit, but he's still smoking a cigar.
You get to see the character from the first game from a third-person perspective because you're playing as someone else. And I just never pictured Soap McTavish to have a mohawk, but he does.
Well, like, I think that they just had to make that dude as hardcore as possible. And dang it, they succeeded.
He was a lot more ripped than I imagined him being, too.
Well, it's also, don't forget, the next game is set 5 years later.
Yeah, he's been pumping his guns the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying not to give stuff away because I already beat the game.
Yeah, like I said, I just finished it about an hour ago.
My friend Brent.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that's
it's still really fresh in my mind.
That's the thing. I finished it like 2 days after I beat it, but I mean, it's like I did it yesterday. Which, I mean, I guess that was only 4 days ago, but still.
I have a friend who used to play in a clan years and years ago, and No One Lives Forever, which wasn't a very popular game, but the people who followed it were pretty devoted to the multiplayer, which is one of the worst multiplayer experiences I've ever seen in a game, and still they enjoyed it. I think it's because of some of the personality the game had. Like, regardless of whether you played as a guy or a girl, the game was set up for the protagonist being female, and therefore where you walked, you heard the sound of heels clicking on the ground. And
it's kind of like a perfect dark situation.
yeah, but you know, in multiplayer you can be a guy, and when you're the guy, you still hear click click click, like they're all secretly wearing high heels. But I guess he really got his game down to the point that he's so good these days that when he was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 on the PC, he kept getting banned for cheating, and he never cheated. People kept saying he was hacking.
That just sounds like whiny gamers. Oh, you're better than me, so that means you're cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, I'm sure if anyone came up against Fatality, they would quickly be calling him a hacker if they didn't know who he was.
Well, I mean, that's like I think it was Halo or something. One time I got kicked out just because I was doing better than them, and I'm terrible at Halo.
I don't think that'll ever happen to me again. I mean, there was a time I was pretty good, but I don't think I mean, they keep adding all these features to the game that make it harder to be precise. Like if you're riding around the helicopter is bobbing up and down. It's like you're trying to aim, and you even if you can aim precisely, the helicopter is messing you up. Or as you're running along,
well, I think that's the realism factor.
Yeah,
I mean, it's because firing those guns. Like, I mean, you go back to some games where if you were on a mounted weapon, no matter what, you would hit everything. And I think like if you're flying through a battlefield where several hundred people are shooting at you, you don't want to sit still.
Exactly. But on the flip side, though, they add things like when I installed Borderlands on the PC, they said, do you want aim assist on? I'm like, no, I don't want aim assist on. But that's on for the consoles. I don't even think you can turn it off in the consoles. And I just got to wonder how easy that kind of stuff makes it or doesn't. Like I played Gears of War on the PC when they finally ported it to the PC, and I didn't find it greatly better on the PC. I thought the mouse was going to make life so much better, and it really didn't. The game was so balanced for the controller that it was actually weakened for the PC controls. That could have been the porting house. It might be the game, because it's Epic didn't do the actual port. Epic is the company behind Unreal and Gears of War, what have you.
Well, you can kind of look at the
What's that?
reverse, like a game like Left 4 Dead, which is designed as a PC game to be distributed on Steam, that they did a port for the 360, and I played both versions, and I can't play the 360 version. The PC version is playable with the controls, but I have such a hard time playing that particular FPS on a console, and I think it's because it really wasn't designed for it. It's kind of one of those, depends which console or venue for distribution they had in mind when they started making the game.
Now, see, that makes sense then, because I played Left 4 Dead on 360 and I didn't care for it, and which made me sad because I've been looking forward to it because I just heard no plot, just kill zombies. And I mean,
the PC version is way better.
Yeah, as I said before, zombies are the one race that we're still allowed to discriminate against.
Well, yeah. I mean, you find an American citizen that doesn't have a zombie contingency plan. I mean, really.
Exactly.
I've spent hours talking about this with friends when I could do something productive, but no.
I actually have a funny story about that. I was at work one time, and my boss comes out and says, "Okay, guys, so if the zombies come through the front door, we're all going to go down into the basement, but unfortunately I'm going to have to sacrifice one of you, because we need to stall for time."
And the zombies will need a snack, or an appetizer.
That's the best boss ever.
Milk and cookies.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've just sat and talked about it with friends. I mean, granted, one of us was on a 3-hour car ride, so we had nothing better to do. But,
yeah.
I mean, where do you go? What weapons do you use? Where do you hold up? I mean,
The latest trailer for Left 4 Dead 2, because I'm not big on zombies in games actually myself, but the trailer makes me want to see more. Not so much play the game. I want to see the rest of the movie that the trailer seems to have told me is happening. Mm-hmm. And I don't know because there's no story. It's just shooting zombies, and they said the first one can get kind of repetitive. What do you think, Jeff? Is that true?
It can. Part of the fun of it is playing with your friends, and they do randomize some of the elements of the game, and there are a ton of like wisecracks and one-liners between the different characters, and that seems to. I haven't ever heard any of that stuff repeat, so there's obviously a lot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game kind of gets a little tiring after a while, but I expect Left 4 Dead 2 to be much more replayable because they've even randomized the layout of the levels themselves.
I was going to ask, is that in the first one, or is that just in the second?
It's not in the first
okay.
one.
So you kind of learn the layout, so obviously it would get kind of repetitive.
Yeah, I mean, well, the enemies always seem to come from a different area, which is kind of neat.
Actually, there's a point
one thing I like about Valve's games.
I saw somebody broke off from the group, and the group was in one place, and all the zombies made a beeline for where the group was, and so he came up behind the zombies and started taking them out that way.
Yeah, but if you do that, one of like the special zombies, like the thing that shoots its tongue out and grabs you and stuff, will just pull you to your doom, and the rest of the group is off fighting on zombies elsewhere, and you're dead.
Well, actually,
you have to stay together.
They were cornered inside a building or whatever, and I don't know. Part of me has like this thought of like Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller video. I'm like, no, show tunes.
I kind of enjoyed Dead Rising, although that one may as well not have had a plot, because as soon as you go out, you forget who you're trying to save, and you just beat zombies.
Well, I hear that the plot was also kind of really wishy-washy in the last Resident Evil.
I've never played a Resident Evil game.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. I just never got around to it.
I have only seen Resident Evil 2 played on the PlayStation or PlayStation 2, whichever system.
That was the best one.
And I watched it played. I'm like, this game is like so creepy. I'm getting scared. Like, turn it up. And
I watched a buddy of mine play Resident Evil 5 for a while, and it looked okay. The third person kind of to the side shooting style, I didn't really like that much, so I never bothered playing it, but it was fun to watch.
So you want to be the person shooting the people. You don't want to pretend to be controlling the person.
I like first person myself, but I know I have friends that said it makes them dizzy, so the third person works.
Yeah.
But I mean, that game for me was just more fun to, stand at the side yelling, zombie, over there, Well,
with the first person perspective, I actually know where that comes from, that vertigo that you get. It's because not everyone gets this, and I'm not sure why some people do and some people don't. But it has to do with the fact that your eyes are telling your brain that you're moving, and your balance center is saying, no, we're not. Your eyes like, we're moving. Balance says, no, we're not. And that's where that conflict comes from. And I find with every game, like one game that was particularly bad was was Mirror's Edge. And I had Mirror's Edge on my Xbox connected to my PC setup, so it was essentially a PC game for me with a controller. And I played it until I was literally to the edge of spewing. And I'm like, okay, I've got to stop. And then as you go on, to me the game isn't so much about getting through the story and you're done. It's more so about mastering how the game is done and actually smoothing out the levels. And
oh yeah, I could forget the plot of that game and just free run and have fun.
Yeah, I wish they would just give you, I mean, not the timed playgrounds, because I don't really need the timing to make it fun for me.
Oh yeah, just here's the city, go play.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish they could have done, because the Unreal 3 engine hasn't really been used for this kind of thing that much, is giving you kind of just a, get over here and do this, get over here and do that, but you don't have to go in any order. Give it a free roaming kind of way about it. I don't know if that would have kept up with the graphical detail they managed with it. Mm-hmm. But I had the same thing with Half-Life 2. The way the screen moved kind of got me. Borderlands, though, didn't bother me at all. Borderlands felt very similar to something else. I think that's why RPG element was very easy for me to tack on. Call of Duty never did it to me. So I guess I've gotten past it, but I understand, because I sometimes with a new game will start getting the little, like you start to feel the saliva picking up in your mouth and your head's starting to get a little woozy. I'm like, okay, I need to put it down or I'm going to be sick.
The only way the Call of Duty games have ever affected me is they're just, I think I had said earlier, is that they're just so intense.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I've never had any vertigo issues or getting dizzy. I think, for me, what it is just the fact that there's so much going on. Like, it's almost too much to handle, so I just have to take a break after a while, because it's like you're looking for one guy and another one runs past you. You go after that guy, 3 more run past, and someone's shooting behind you, and, I think that's the beauty of the Call of Duty games and what they've done is there's just so much. And also having useful team members.
What about the strawberry jelly?
Oh, whenever you take damage and it looks like...
Oh my gosh.
It's like, oh no, I've been slimed.
That's the only thing I didn't like about those games is as soon as you get shot, you can't see anything, which I guess, I've never been shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if your vision gets a little blurred. But
that's what blinding pain looks like.
Well, they said that when you get shot, you actually see light like stars. We had people from the military jump in on the forums and say it's actually you're, and they say things like they had that effect in Rainbow Six Vegas where the screen would start to get blurry and
the screen would get black and you couldn't see anything. It drove me crazy.
Yeah. Well, they said that the reverse has happened. Your hands go numb and you start seeing stars. I'm like, well. Yeah, but you don't instantly heal. so
it's okay. Just get to cover for 5 seconds.
All our modern fighters in our army are all Wolverine.
Yeah. In which case, they don't really need guns. They just come out with their blades. Tanks, I got it.
That's true. Oh,
they get cut. They just regenerate.
I loved that game so much. The Wolverine game.
I haven't played it.
Oh, that was great.
That
was the bloodiest game I have ever seen.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that the thing is complaints, because I thought it was kind of similar to God of War and stuff like that, and I've heard complaints about it or God of War and that kind of game is they're repetitive, and I thought, but you know what? Yeah, you may do the same thing over and over and over in Wolverine, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It didn't matter how many times I lunged at a guy with my claws. It was awesome every time.
Well, see, I like the shot I'm just sending in the window now. That was my my Carnage game was Fear 2, and if you shot people from too close up, it would get on your visor.
Oh wow, I never played the Fear games, but that would be something.
Yeah, and of course it gradually fades away, and you're not hurt. It's just there was a blood splatter too close to you.
Mm-hmm.
See, I like the Republic Commando game that Star Wars won because you would get enemy blood on your visor all the time, but like a little electric windshield wiper would come up on your visor and clean it off.
That's awesome.
And we sound like such psychopaths.
Hey, it's okay. It's not real.
It's all alien blood anyway. It's all
aliens just need to die as it is. I mean,
they don't have feelings.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Same thing with the zombies. It's just doing them a favor.
Oh, aliens were actually harmed in the making of this game.
Yeah.
But lots of zombies were harmed.
That's one of the things I thought about the no Russian level is maybe you would be, mopping up, putting people out of their misery so that they're not sitting there suffering.
I did that. I did do that every once in a while. Somebody down there just looking at their own blood, and I'd be like, oh, I almost feel worse leaving them.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah,
that was long.
Before I finally got into finally talked myself into getting Modern Warfare 2, I was playing Borderlands, and Borderlands to me is what I really want out of a first-person shooter game. I wish they had more variance with the set pieces because the world is kind of just a big desert, and that's kind of the way it is. And so you have less junk here, more junk there, and that's as far as it goes. But what I really liked about it is one of the things that kind of drove me a little crazy about the first Modern Warfare 1 was that you feel like you're kind of on a roller coaster. You really don't have a whole lot to say of where you go because if you go the wrong direction, dead. So this game, it starts out and you go through this cutscene, you pick which one of the 4 characters you're going to be, and then they get you off the bus, and you feel like you're being herded through this area. Oh, there's enemies, kill them. Oh, now over here. Oh, now I'm hurt, you have to save me too. And it's just like no, I don't want to be forced down another path here. And you get to the town, they're like, okay, here's your quest, see you later. It's like, what? I get to go where I want? And then that's when the game kind of opens up to me, and I really enjoy that, where if I don't feel like going down further in the path, or because I'm a certain level I should take on this bad guy, I don't have to. Although it's hard, a comparison to Modern Warfare is kind of unfair because that's the games are trying two totally separate concepts. And Jeff's played it, so he knows. And Nick, Sean, and I actually jumped into the game together before we knew how to do it privately, so we had it open so people were coming in and out of the group. And the game balances. Like, if you add people, the game will balance to match you. So the experience of killing bad guys is the same whether you're by yourself or with a group of people. And I thought that was quite amazing.
I haven't played Borderlands myself, but I've watched my friend play it, and I really like what I've seen. Like, when he started at the very beginning, and I like the first thing I said was, I want this game.
Yeah.
But it there's no hope of it running on my little dinky MacBook, so I'm not going to try. But if I can pick up the Xbox version, I might. But I don't know how compatible the PC and Xbox versions are.
No, they're not cross-platform. Yeah, because the PC version you get in through GameSpy.
You got the Xbox version, but you could play with me.
Yeah, but who would want to do that? No, but I really love the art design for that game, because like other games will cel shade, and this is kind of cel shaded, but what they've actually done with the textures is it looks a lot of times like it is actually hand drawn.
Yeah, like a 3D comic book.
And it's moving.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it's hand drawn, as opposed to like the Wind Waker, which just sort of looks cartoony.
Yeah.
This looks like somebody penciled in something and then it was actually animated, and it's a really cool effect, especially in that opening bus scene, which is. I love that guy's voice too.
And I like the rewards for being.
He's Russian.
Yeah,
he's God now.
I like the rewards for being a good player.
Bus.
If you get a critical shot with a weapon that has like a elemental power, like my fire sniper rifle. My favorite way to kill people is with fire because they evaporate. But
I might have to check this game out now. This sounds fun.
Yeah,
it'd be right up your alley, I think.
Yeah, if you hit somebody with a critical hit, like you nail somebody in the head just right, because the crosshair will swim a little bit when you're aiming, so you kind of really have to time it. And also they have travel time for the bullets. So if you're far away and there's a vehicle driving, you try to hit with the sniper rifle, you'll see it hit the ground after they pass where you're aiming. So you have to learn that there's some reality to this. You have to aim ahead of where they're going. In any case, if you nail a critical shot and that person evaporates and somebody's close by, they too will evaporate.
Oh.
And they have the elemental weapons include like a green slime of sorts that melts through everything.
Acid.
Yeah. They have explosive rounds, and I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything else.
Lightning. Yeah,
I got this pistol that was 2 shots. I'm like, 2 shots is all it takes for anybody. I'm like, I'm okay. It's weird. It's because whenever he pulls out a revolver, he spins the whatever you call the cylinder that holds all the bullets, and they do that for the 2 shot. I'm like, that's kind of silly. It's only 2 shots in there. But when you pick up your first sniper rifle and it's a freaking revolver, but it's a sniper rifle, so to unload it, he pushes it out and you see all the 6 spent casings come out of it. I'm like, that's actually really cool. And even though the semi-automatic ones load faster and recycle between shots faster, I still rather have the revolver because it's just that much cooler to see it reloaded. And one of the cool things, like I get into like the experience. I like the music. I like the graphics. I really get into the experience, which is why I know Modern Warfare 2 is probably going to be right up my alley. But there was a point when we were playing with Sean, me, Nick, and whoever random people were jumping in and out. And there was a point where all of us, like, we just finished taking down a group of these purple worm things. And they were all reloading. I'm like, that is just like that sound, like all the everything, just like it was so cool. And I don't know that
the only thing cooler is cocking a shotgun. I mean, in a game.
And they have space age dual barrel shotgun type of deal.
That's pretty cool.
And they also have they have the shotguns with the revolver. Everything has a revolver in here. So you can fire like 6 shots, and you know how like a dual barrel shotgun, you flip the switch and it just leans down on the hinge. Same thing with this, except you empty out 6 spent shells and you just stick in 6 more. So it actually reloads faster than a pump shotgun.
Oh, nifty.
So,
there's all sorts of weird variations of guns. Like they took random gun elements and put them together. I mean, there's shotguns in there with scopes on them.
Yeah, I thought that was when I picked up my first one. I thought I had a sniper rifle. I'm like, why is this so ineffective?
There's a shotgun with a scope.
Because like you're so far away, I'm like it's not even hurting them. It's because it's spreading out so far, it's not hitting them at all. I don't know. I've been thinking now that I've reached the second playthrough, because what happens the first playthrough, you level up to a certain point, And if you just follow the quest, you will be at the level you need to be. You don't have to actually sit down and grind. So it's grindtastic in that it takes a long time to play through, and therefore you get a lot of gameplay for your money. But it's not grindtastic like WoW, where like, oh, well, I need to get to this next level, so I just go out here and kill these wolves for, about 10 hours. That kind of thing. It's not one of those kind of things. And to me, if you enjoy shooters and the visceral experience of blowing limbs off of people, it still has that pleasure in there. It doesn't. One of the things I always thought that's bad about RPGs is they abstract some of that stuff too much in most cases. Like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Where's the dismemberment? I want to cut limbs off. I have a lightsaber. Why can't I cut holes in doors? I mean, that's what the lightsaber does, So that's like you, Ben. I'm an action gamer, and so like if I have to spend too long working on something, can't I just something? Yeah. I'm sure the gun would break it open.
It's fun for a while, but eventually you just want to blow stuff up.
Exactly.
Well, I remember that was my tactic on the Max Payne. The first time I played that, anytime if I'd get lost somewhere, I'd just start shooting and hope for the best. I mean, I'd just shoot a hole in a door, and maybe it'd work, maybe it wouldn't. I felt better.
Wouldn't that have been funny if that worked in Uber?
I can't reach that lever over there. Trying to pull out the sniper rifle.
Sitting there in that darn light puzzle for the Path of Shell, which I got working, as I said, on the computer again because I got the Windows and I got Drizzle working and everything, and then I had to play through the game again, and I still don't understand why that happens. You literally have to sit your character down for 15 minutes. It's like, I realize now how ridiculous that is.
Which light puzzle are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one in Path of Shell where you have to sit on the shell in the room.
That's right.
For 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, can't I just put like a bowling ball on the lever or something?
That was kind of silly.
Right?
I think the thing, you gotta want it. That's probably their goal.
Yeah, get out your book and just listen. And it just says they're ticking too. So it's just like, is it going to blow up? Hope so.
And even that kind of made sense, but the time delay thing with the pellet dropping down, that still doesn't make any sense. There's no basis for that logic anywhere else in the game.
Well,
I'm absolutely serious. I've looked everywhere. I cannot find any sort of logic.
There is a basis for it, but it's kind of here nor there at this point. And I want to before we leave Borderlands, I want to say two things. First, Cliffy B from Epic Games, the people behind Unreal Tournament 3 and Gears of War, he loves Borderlands, and it's like testimonial. He says it's for our generation raised on first person shooters, it is the Diablo. I don't know how much I agree with that, but I definitely like that it has some staying power as a shooter, and it also doesn't punish you very much for dying. Like, you can actually have what's called second chance or second wind, where if you manage to kill somebody in that little space of time before you're finally definitely dead, you can come back with like 200 some odd health or whatever and still continue fighting if you're quick.
Yeah, so you can keep dying and coming back and dying and coming back.
And I have my fiery death pistol, which allows me to mostly manage that, but. The other thing is they have Borderlands has the best 1 week sales of any fresh IP in 2009. So not only is it a new IP, but it's the best sales of any new IP.
Could I ask one really quick question about Borderlands? Commercials I saw for it, the reason I wasn't interested in it, because the very little gameplay they showed in the commercials, I thought it looked like Left 4 Dead, which I didn't like. My concern was, I just mean like the gameplay itself. Like you had said that the Left 4 Dead was very much designed for PC, and they just kind of switched the PC version over to 360.
Jeff played on 360.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I had no problems at all.
Yeah.
And that's like, the last real game I played on PC was I got Halo when I was this was probably
this feels
5 years
like
ago.
Halo. On the 360, it felt like I was playing Halo. You even kind of have a little bit of the moon jump. You have a shield, and it makes the shield noise from Halo when your shield gets drained, starts beeping, and it sounds just like Halo.
Yeah, and you have a vehicle that can be occupied by two people, one of which is a gunner. And the vehicles can be destroyed rather easily. I don't know if they're always destroyed rather easily, but it seems like there's an area where you're supposed to destroy a certain amount of like the people riding on the vehicles, and it's actually easier if you're not in a vehicle, if you just run around. And there's another section where there's a boss on a vehicle, and like killing him from the vehicle really takes two people because you need to have someone aiming while someone else drives. Whereas if I just get on foot, I go 2 or 3 clips into his vehicle and he's done. But what I liked about it a lot is there's a lot of nifty little story elements. Like there's this doctor who you're getting her little recorded tapes, and she's got a real different take on things.
Yeah, she's pretty crazy.
Like she talks about this this one administrator as, the girl with the scars where her face should be. She talks about her tape recorder cheating on her because she or being jealous of her after actually having a friend, which it was just some guy who wandered into her encampment and she shot him. And for a minute she thought about having a conversation with him while he slowly died, and then she thought that her tape recorder was jealous. So there's some cute nifty things in there, and you see some characters that are named things that if you are familiar with the cultural references, you'll get it. Like they have one called Mad Mel, which if you are familiar with,
Also Mad Max, right?
And also Bruce McLean. It's like there's little cute things like
nice.
that. So.
That's one of easily the greatest action movies of all time.
Exactly.
So anybody that disagrees is wrong.
It's my favorite Christmas movie.
What movie is that?
Die Hard.
Oh.
It is. It's the best Christmas movie out there. It's a Wonderful Life. Who? Come on, Die Hard. It's that and a Muppet Christmas Carol.
I don't know. Well, best Christmas, yes, but I think the best Muppet movie is The Great Muppet Caper.
I do love that movie. I'll roll with the Muppet movie, the original one. Great movie.
Yeah.
Love it.
I like the Muppets Take Manhattan.
I can't remember the last time I actually watched that movie all the way through, which makes me kind of sad.
I've actually watched them recently because my friend Brent is he's indoctrinating his daughters with movies that he enjoyed as a kid. So they have taste that kind of does not fit their generation. So their friends are talking about Hamla and Tana and other things like that.
Oh no!
And they're talking about real entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
This is called The Karate Kid.
The what?
All right. So before we get too far off track here, next point, and I know that this is not a PC or a console gaming specific thing, Ben. So you definitely have to chime in here.
I'll do my best.
The Australian game banner, and by banner we don't mean like a banner ad. We mean the guy who's pretty much single-handedly responsible for a lot of games that we consider of an M rating or mature rating or 18 plus rating are just flat out not allowed in Australia. And his name is Michael Atkinson. He's the Attorney General. And what he had to say is kind of funny. He says, I am baffled and worried why proponents of the R18 plus games are putting up their hands and saying, give us more cruel sex and extreme violence, said this guy. He says, I cannot fathom what state-enforced safeguards could exist to prevent R18 plus games from being bought by households with children, and how children can be stopped from using these games once the games are in the home. If adult gamers are so keen to have R18 plus games, I expect children would be just as keen. I think you will find this issue has little traction with my constituents, who are more concerned with real-life issues than home entertainment in imaginary worlds. So on one phrase, he's saying, this is important to stop you from having. And another phrase, he's saying, this is not important at all.
So he's a politician.
Exactly. One of the things that people have said, I don't know if you're familiar with the This Week in Tech network, but there's a show in there called Windows Weekly, and Paul Thurrott is on there, and he has a kid who's 11 who he bought Modern Warfare 2 for, but he says he will not allow his son to play the single player. He can play the multiplayer all he wants, but not the single player. And to me, this is an example of a parent who's engaged in their children's life, whereas, as I mentioned earlier, the parents who were not catching their kids downloading millions of dollars worth of damages of music off the internet and then wondering why the RAA is knocking on the doorstep. These are parents who are not engaged. And I don't know if that's like the state trying to social engineer behavior, or if they really think it's a danger. But like, in one hand they say it is, one hand they say it isn't. And we're in the U.S., the land of the free, or are we?
This isn't on the outline, but you heard about the Venezuelan game ban. The leadership of Venezuela recently, just a couple of weeks ago, banned all violent video games.
Really?
And,
I thought Germany was trying to do that too.
Well, Venezuela, they felt that it would destroy cultural unity. Video games make people too individualistic and all sorts of other things that Americans, treasure as being virtues that we all, we're a country of cowboys and rebels.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see how other countries kind of interpret that kind of effect as being dangerous to potential leadership.
Well, it'd probably be important to bring up, the point that I made earlier before we were recording with Ben, is that games like Assassin's Creed, I mean, as you're running around the rooftops, you can attract attention or not. But if you don't want to attract attention, you have to kill the guards who are otherwise not bothering you, And
They shouldn't have signed up to be guards. It's not my fault.
Exactly.
They knew the risks of the job.
I will not take responsibility for their life mistakes.
But it's, that doesn't mean that in real life, I'm walking down the street, somebody, fusses me. I have to, stab a knife through their neck.
Take them out with a knife from 30 feet away.
And it's not like I have any difficulty. And there are people who really do subscribe to this whole violent games make violent people, even though all the studies are saying quite the contrary. But we find people who happen to be pretty disturbed and having other problems in their life, and they have video games, and therefore the video games are to blame.
Well, John, it's like I said earlier while we were talking beforehand, was in real life, I'm a pacifist. I mean, I absolutely am anti-violence, and I own Call of Duty. I mean, I think that, what you said earlier was what made the most sense to me, was that it's parents. If a parent doesn't want their child to play violent video games, you don't let them play violent video games. I mean, the parents need to have that kind of responsibility that, a game is rated mature for a reason. It's rated mature because there's, probably a lot of violence, there could be language, there could be blood, which could have a negative effect on a 10-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. I mean, before you really have that full understanding of reality, not reality,
Yeah.
I mean...
And I agree with that, because I think a lot of the people who were clamoring to get Modern Warfare 2 were teenagers who, would not fit, in many cases, the M rating. And I think that in some cases, like as a teenager, I was a lot more cavalier about things that were violent versus the way I am now. But, there's no substitute for life experience. But that doesn't mean that the games I played as a kid have turned me into a violent adult.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll always say that I think that if somebody that plays violent video games and then does something violent, there's a lot more to them than violent video games.
Yeah, and they're just trying to find a scapegoat, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they were. I mean, somebody. I mean, I hate to bring up like an old example, but like the guys at Columbine High School shooting, that they said like these guys played Doom and stuff like that. And
so did 50 million other people
who didn't. Yeah, exactly.
But I just had the thought of, these kids had so much more wrong with them that, the violent games probably didn't help, but they didn't cause it.
Well, to me, violent games are actually a bit of an outlet, but not necessarily for my psychotic need to kill people tendencies. But like when I bought Fear 2, I had a specific desire. I needed to shoot somebody that I hadn't shot before. That's all it was. and I showed you that visor in there with the blood splattered across it, and it's interesting. Like in real life, blood makes me sick to the point like I've got to sit down or I'm going to Ralph. Like seriously, cannot take people bleeding. And I was never unclear that I was not going into the medical profession. I knew that was not a path I could ever take.
Just can't handle a rare steak.
Yeah, and I've been through the health problems with the animals. I've been through my mother passing away. It's just like I have a real sense for mortality, and these things in real life affect me greatly. In the games, though, bring it on. I want that body splattered with pieces, or jibs as we call them, flying everywhere. And Fear 2 really gave me what I needed at that particular time, because I was really stressed because work had just dialed up to a point where like I could not make people happy. And I was getting chewed out by customers left and right, and like nothing I could do. I couldn't make them happy, no matter how hard I worked at it. And so, I kept ending my shift with this pent up stress. And so I'd fire up the game, and after 15 minutes, I'm like, I feel better.
Well, I think that's the beauty of video games, is that it's a release.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a huge movie buff, and movies are to me a release from reality. And there are movies I like and movies I don't like, but for me, for like that hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, it's a time when I don't have to think about all the crap going on around me.
Exactly.
And video games are a very similar situation. It's just a time when, if I've had a stressful day and I need to let off some steam, go home, play some Call of Duty, Even better, play some Dead Rising or something and run around and beat zombies to death with a TV.
Well, since you're
I wanted to say no pun intended, but the moment has passed because you said Steam.
well, since you're an evil console gamer, you and Jeff.
Yeah, we are. And proud of it.
Do either of
you bigot.
have a DS or play with a DS?
I play with my DS all the time because I'm not at home very often.
All I have is a 360 and a PlayStation 2. Although the last car trip we took, I did find my Game Boy Color, and that made for hours of fun on a 10-hour car ride.
Well, the thing I just want to mention is the news thing that we found out. Nintendo is releasing a bigger DSi in Japan, and I guess
the LL.
And I guess the only reason they're doing it is because people are having trouble seeing the small display on the smaller model.
Is that it? Because I thought they made it bigger.
They made it a lot bigger, but I think personally that this is a move to help accommodate their elderly market that they have in Japan. They have a lot of adults and businessmen who buy DSs to play the English learning games and things like that. And a lot of the functions and features of this new DS kind of help support my theory. Like there's a dictionary built into it, and a couple better internet browser and things like that. And if you see this thing is like almost a netbook. It's pretty it's pretty big, and the stylus for it is a full-size pen.
Yeah, I was looking at the pictures. It looks like a regular click pen.
I had to say real quick, it sounds like what you're saying here is that they use video games to learn, whereas as we were just talking, we use them because we just like to shoot crap.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Japan has a different focus on gaming, but actually there's been this rumored breakdown of the gaming industry that might be happening, and I'm not sure if it really is coming or not. But they think just like in the 80s where games just kind of petered out, Japan is supposedly seeing the early effects of this, which is why they're kind of digging down.
A real shift from what is the video game power of the world from Japan to being in the United States and Europe.
Yeah, well,
it's interesting because when I was growing up, all the games came from Japan, so they all had weird translations and they're kind of broken mechanics and all sorts of other weird things in them that kind of spoke to a Japanese culture that was only translated for Americans. And now people in Japan are importing American games.
Yeah, I guess the Xbox actually did get some traction there, although it was a weak market for them.
Well, what happened was Japan's favorite genre of game is the role-playing game. They love RPGs over there. And
it was 250 hours plus,
So Sony wasn't getting a bunch of the RPG licenses that made the PS2 so strong over there because they had so many RPGs on the PS2. But the 360 started getting, the licenses for, Star Ocean and all sorts of other RPGs that Japanese gamers love. And when those games started coming out, you saw the sales of the 360 pick up in Japan, which had always been very, very, very weak. And it's really interesting to see that Microsoft was starting to pick up where Sony was kind of dropping the ball. Now things are evening out a little more. But
has Sony picked back up there since the PlayStation 3 came out then?
Oh, yeah. Sony is really picking up right now.
Because of the price drop,
Because of the price drop, which is something they desperately needed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I will say this. I have pros and cons for all platforms. So, as much as I rib on you people for being console players, I have both consoles. I got the 360 and a PlayStation 3. So to me, no game is barred from me, which is the whole goal of that. Well, but
for me,
the PlayStation 3
I like consoles.
I gotta say, it's even though people say it's so great, this and that, it does lock up a lot more than I would like to admit. Whereas the 360, I think in my life of having my 360, I've had only a handful of lockups. So I would say 3 in the couple of years I've had it. And in one case, I think it was because of the cat. In one case, because she laid down behind it, blocking the fans. And by the time I got her out of there, the thing had stopped responding.
I think the only time mine's extremely rarely freezes up. The only time it does, I've gotten those, evil red rings twice.
Was it the red ring you have to send it to the shop, or just red ring, turn it off, turn it back on?
No, red ring. It was freaking dead. I was on. This is the one I have is my second Xbox, and it died once too. And so
weird to hear that voice say "freaking." So you
I was thinking
you're in the foots of a legacy. There's just no way around that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of Dad for that then. But it's like, yeah, I think the only times when I had any issues with my Xbox freezing up was in the like it working its way to its unfortunate demise, know. And it'd only do it on my football game right at the end of a game or right before I saved.
Exactly. That's one of the things I've liked about some of the consoleization that's happened in games lately. Although some people would argue against this, that they want to have control of the saves. I like having no control and having the saves peppered in there so frequently that if I lose progress, it doesn't go back that far.
I like having both. I definitely prefer the autosave because, what game was it? I think it was the Max Payne games. They don't have autosave, and so I'd put an hour into it and forget to save.
That's the first thing I noticed when I shut down Borderlands for the first time. Usually when you shut down a game, it says all unsaved progress will be lost. Borderlands says all progress will be saved.
Oh, that's hardcore.
I'm like, thank you. That's exactly what I want,
That's way better than losing the last 3 hours, If I'm going to spend the last 3 hours doing nothing productive, it better get saved.
Exactly. We kind of covered what we're playing now because we all kind of mentioned it. So let's talk about what we're looking forward to. I think that would be a good next step.
Assassin's Creed 2.
I'd say Mass Effect 2 for me.
I would say Assassin's Creed 2.
I mean, I'm not going to get it when it comes out because I just bought Call of Duty and, Christmas is coming up. But
yeah.
I'm going to ask for it for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I'll get it eventually because the first game was just so incredible. I got to get it.
Exactly. And what was your thought on the first game? Did any of the repetition bother you or anything?
No, not at all.
I thought the repetition gave me a chance to kind of master how he does things.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you that chance. And, I mean, for me, it was like what I said with Wolverine is... It was the stuff you did was fun, so I never got tired of it. I never got tired of free running. I never got tired of climbing tall buildings or getting in sword fights or the stealth kills. Every aspect of that game, like the more you did it, the better you got at it, and the more fun it got. There was the initial shock of it of whoa, this is really cool, and then.
Well, I just love they go anywhere. It's like Spider-Man made real. Like there's no place in the city barred for you for the most part. Although the first time I played through, I was cussing at that last battle with I forget the guy's name, but because they for the whole game they pretty much taught you to avoid conflict and not have to jump into the battles. So on my second playthrough,
granted I still would.
Well, you have to, but on my second playthrough. I actually went into Damascus after I'd opened up the whole town and made it my goal to eliminate every guard in the whole town. And they respawn, though. But I gave it the old college try. So I actually, the second playthrough when I reached the enemy, he was a big pushover. So I think that's the difference is he's really tough if you don't spend time cultivating your battle skills. And I think this game is actually going to make you do it because you don't have any weapons for the most part except for what you steal from people.
Mm-hmm. My second playthrough of the game, I made it my goal to actually be more stealthy. I think I picked off the first three or four of your targets stealth, which I don't know if I got any of them stealth the first time I played through it because I'd go at them too fast or something would happen and they'd see me.
I don't think I ever managed to stealth kill on the targets. I could stealth kill all manner of things, but not the actual targets.
Yeah, I mean, I actually made myself really take my time and work my way around really slowly and I think find the best way to.
I was on the last enemy of the town that I hated. What's that one? It's not Damascus. It's not Jerusalem. It's the other one.
Acre?
Yeah, Acre. I was on the last character there, the one that's in the corner and in the fortress, whatever. And I finally discovered how to jump off of a ledge and pin him to the ground and assassinate him all in one fell swoop. I was like, I'm going to use that for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the sprint at them crazy flying leap into their throat is way cooler, but just to try if I play through a game a second time, I try to do it a little differently.
Yeah, well, I always race through the first
learn
one.
From the first
I got to see the end of the story, and then the second time I savor it a bit more. And I'm always like that. Even when I've played missed games, I've done that where I've just zip through the first, and the second time I'm like, oh, what's over here? Or what's this? Or what can I do with this? Mm-hmm. Like I've only found about 10 of the laptops you can find in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1.
Yeah, I have been exploring levels more to try to do it, but man, I don't. The problem is I get distracted by the mission and then just move ahead because there's guys there, and then remember, oh yeah, I was gonna do this. Oh well. There's people there. Just open fire.
For the very first time, I've actually managed to crawl through the tall grass and all gillied up where the tanks and the soldiers are walking towards you without them realizing I'm there.
You can get through Wow! As soon as they saw me, they always killed me. I always have to try to get through that one.
No, I did stealth. What I'm saying is I actually managed it for once. Like I failed at it so many times that I just gave up and I went back to the watchtower and just waited for them to pass by.
Oh! I hadn't even thought of that.
Wow, that's I had a hard time with that part too. I never even thought to do that.
Yeah, I just did it like 20 straight times.
What I kept doing was going off to an angle towards a tank, and once I got past the guy who was next to the tank, take a quick cut to the left, and it was like, oh, that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you looking forward to again, Jeff?
Actually, a couple of games, but Mass Effect 2 is something I mentioned, but I don't really have a lot to say about that other than I liked the first one so much that the second one...
Well, unlike Knights of the Republic, this one actually is developed by BioWare.
Right.
Whereas
But there's another game that's a little more obscure that I'm looking forward to, Endless Ocean 2 on the Wii. The first Endless Ocean is kind of one of my little guilty pleasures, except there's not much guilty about it. The game has no plot, really, and no purpose. It's just this beautiful ocean reef, and you drive your little boat around, and you dive and explore these little underwater reefs.
It's essentially meditation turned into a video game.
Yeah, and they play this beautiful, relaxing music. Most of the soundtrack was done by Hayley Westenra. She's one of those Celtic women singers, and beautiful voice, and it's like Valium in video game form.
This sounds like everything that is not Call of Duty or something.
It's so relaxing, and their sequel to it is supposed to be coming out, and I'm really looking forward to that because I really enjoyed the first one. And there was even online play, and I'm probably the only person ever to play that game online with someone else. And it was just kind of neat exploring these caves with another diver.
What are you looking forward to,
like
Patrick?
Video game scuba diving?
Yeah, and there's no plot or anything. You're just discovering new fish, and there's all sorts of little neat things to find. Like there's a sunken pirate ship at one point that you can find, and there's some undersea ruins that you can explore. And
that sounds pretty cool, actually.
It's a lot of fun, and I think it's a game that would really appeal to anyone who really liked Uru or the exploring aspect.
Yeah, I think that most gamers do have an exploring aspect, even if they don't, want to spend a lot of time doing it, because, part of the reason we are so attracted to good graphics is because we like being in that experience. It's.
Well, I think you can only Rambo your way through a mission so many times. Eventually, you do want to see what's around you, I think.
Yeah. You said you had a PlayStation 2. Did you ever play Shadow of the Colossus?
No, I didn't. The only reason I'm aware of it is because of the movie Reign Over Me. But
that was in that.
I loved that movie so much. But yeah, I couldn't decide if I wanted to try it or not, and I just kind of never did, and I've pretty much given up renting because it's so expensive now. But no, I'd never tried it.
It's worth it. That's a wonderful game.
Where I was going with that is that, and it's probably cheap by now, too, is that...
Most likely, yeah.
That's the company that did Ico, and they did that game, and now their new one coming out early next year, The Last Guardian, looks really amazing. But of course, there's the Penny Arcade comic that kind of makes fun of what, what is essentially what's going to happen is like, there's only one of two ways this game is going to end. Either the creature's going to die or the kid's going to die.
Or both.
Or both. And the one guy's like, I don't know if I want to put myself through that. And it's, of course, just like the other ones. It's supposed to be an emotional journey. And I never played Shadow of the Colossus, but the company says they would love to re-envision it with like high-definition graphics and sell it on the PlayStation Network. So if they do, I will be getting it.
Oh, I would buy that.
Well, you would need the PlayStation 3 for it, of course.
I have heard very good things about that game.
It's really great, and a lot of people don't pick up on the fact that Ico and Shadow of the Colossus seem to take place in the same world, even though they're very different games. I would say that Shadow of the Colossus ends up being a direct prequel to Ico, but it's very, very subtle, and a lot of the gaps here are supposed to be filled in by yourself. And I think that's kind of what I liked about it. It was like storytelling, but open-ended, so that the player gets to help write part of the story and decide what happens in the end.
That's where I always say, like, in certain horror movies, like I watched the Saw movie, and I saw the first 3, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. But I thought the first movie left the horror to where it does the most damage in your mind. So,
oh my gosh, yes, the first one was so scary.
So like when your mind is filling in the blanks, my imagination is unfortunately way better than any special effects. And like they talk about the guy who crawled through the razor wire and got cut so deep they went to his stomach. They never showed him in that scene, and my mind filled in the blanks, and I was disgusted. And
Well, it's like why the shark was so scary in Jaws was you never saw it. I mean, until the end of the movie. Yeah, I mean that's not. I think not seeing it is way scarier. It's like the movies where the horror or thriller movies or whatever, where it's nothing's happening. Okay, something, nothing, everything.
Yeah. But people always like. To me, I thought the Blair Witch Project was really scary, and a lot of people don't like it. And I think the problem was, like, first I did what my parents did when they rented it. I'm sitting there like, what is this crap? Why are we watching this? And then before you know it, it's kind of like District 9. Before you know it, the story has started and you're into it.
District 9 was awesome.
Yeah, so it's like,
oh my god, I love District 9.
So but after as you're watching the beginning, I'm like, God, I don't like this guy, or I don't like these people, and I don't like the story. Why am I sitting here watching this movie? Oh, that's right, because I paid $20 and.
Yeah. You don't go at 11 in the morning. It's 9:25 to see the movie, then another $5 for popcorn, and another $5 for your soda.
Yeah,
and
I was dragged by friends, and I didn't really want to go to that, but I was literally like, there's some things do get me pretty good. Like when I played Doom 3, there were points I had to put the game down. I was literally shaking. Like it just had me I
am unashamed that game scared the crap out of me. Like I could literally, when I first started playing that game for about the first 2 weeks, I could play it for a half hour.
Yep.
And then I had to stop because I was way too scared. It took me a solid week before I manned up and played it at night.
That was my experience with Silent Hill 3. I could only play it for 15 or 20 minutes because my chest would start hurting.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
It tells you, play it in the dark, turn up the speakers, get in the experience. So I did all that.
It's like, no, don't do that.
And so, like, one of the things, the website that's now gone for Doom 3 had this sound, like just like you've got to mute your speakers, like, quiet. The website is scary.
Well, I mean, think about just the press start screen on Doom 3. I mean, you hear just like breathing or whispers. Whispers are way scarier than screaming.
Yeah. Well, there's also, like, part of the game I would, like, get those little journals that you could listen to, and I would turn them on just to hear another voice. Because, like, in the beginning, like, all you're hearing is everyone scream over, oh, help me, oh, they got me, oh. Uh-huh. And then, suddenly you notice it's quiet.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the journals had me so scared, though, because I always had this feeling, I don't think it ever happened, but as soon as I look at this thing, something's going to jump out at me.
Well, that's what would happen is I would keep playing too much, and then, like, I wouldn't hear the rest of the journal, but it would fill that void for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'd be terrified to not be looking at the screen,
So what are you looking forward to, Patrick?
I heard you vainly try to ask me that once, so that makes me laugh a little bit. Anyway, I was actually thinking long and hard about how I was going to answer that question, and what I realized is that I can't look forward to anything because I have too much to catch up on. I need to play Borderlands. I want to play Uncharted 2. I need to play a bunch of old games that I've never played. So, that's what I'm currently trying to do is, get my act together in terms of, because now I have Windows. Which means I can play all those old Windows games. Fallout I want to get to at some point. It's supposed to be just, wonderful classic game. So I'm working my way up.
Yeah.
But
I think just like I've urged Jeff, I think, Ben, you do yourself a disservice not having a PlayStation 3, so get on that, would you?
I will eventually.
Add it to my to-do
I'm thinking
list.
Maybe in a year or so, hope that price goes down, maybe another $1,500, and wait till maybe I have a job that actually pays me a little bit more money, and mainly wait for God of War 3 to come out.
For those of us who bought the PlayStation months before the price drop, who are ouching still from it. I've got the 160 gigabyte drive that came with mine because I bought the bigger one to have the bigger drive, and then I realized they said you can replace the drive easily. I almost returned it so I could get the small drive and just upgrade it on my own. I put a 500 gigabyte drive in it, and I use Handbrake to turn my movies or my DVD collection into digital files, because then when you fire up the movie, it just click, there's the movie. Movie starts. So, you shouldn't steal from us. I'm like, well, I paid for the DVD and it's in my hand, so you're preaching to the converted. Or the movie previews that on the Blu-ray player, it won't let you skip for whatever reason. And so I like the digital rips. Or even if it supported the copy-protected video files, I have some TV shows from iTunes that, again, you click it and it starts. Like that's what the pay for play should work as. Even if you do Netflix, I mean, you're paying and you can stream and you click and it starts. I'm like, DVDs seem like such a step back from that. I would pay more if Netflix would just get everything on the streaming.
Oh yeah, that's. I think I'm almost willing to get Xbox Live purely for the streaming on there, because
it's free on
the PS3 is getting it now too.
Yeah, I got it.
I just
on the
can't.
PlayStation.
It's so hard for me to bring myself just to sit at my computer for a movie I'm going to watch on there is probably something big, like one that I really want to see, like if I watch like a 2.5 hour movie on there, that means I have to sit and stare at my computer for 2.5, 3 hours, not actually doing anything, like messing around on there or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like work to me.
Well, my desk is arranged a little differently, I think, than most people. My chair is fluffy and comfy. My subwoofer is a nice little footstool. So, to me, the computer desk is incredibly comfortable because it's a workspace for me. And it's part ergonomic and part a really enjoyable experience because I've got THX certified speakers, and my proximity from my 20-inch widescreen monitor is probably better than my sitting in the living room with the 37-inch HD TV. So I get...
Honestly, I'm a big couch fan, so... I don't have a couch in my room, and I have a really old swivel chair that... I love that chair, and I've had it for years, and I'll keep it for years more. But I move too much. First off, I have ADD, so I can't sit still for a long time anyway. But to sit at my computer and not do anything else for 2 hours isn't easy. I'll usually play video games and have an instant messenger open at the same time.
Yep. When I played Warcraft, that's what I was. It was always in a window, and I always have a chat, or I'd be on Skype, or I'd have something else, or I'd watch a TV show from Hulu or something. Yeah, I'm not a big single-tasking computer user myself. That's one of the problems I'm actually having is watching TV is a difficult proposition for me to because you have to sit through the commercials. So I want to record it on DVR so I can fast forward that. But I'll be sitting there, I was like, maybe I'll go get my laptop so I could be doing something else while the TV show's on. I can't just, and that's actually one of the problems I have with going to the movies is sitting down and being subject to their experience the way they want to deliver it. Especially today when you go to the movies and you have all these commercials beforehand.
I think movies are the one place I don't have trouble with that, is because for me, like I said earlier, I'm a huge movie buff, and so I can sit and watch. I saw 2012 the other day, and it's 2.5 hours, and I had no problems.
I saw that yesterday.
Now, granted, I saw King Kong and almost fell asleep because it was 9.5 hours long. And
it's give or take.
Yeah. Okay. I will say it was a quality movie. It was, but it was 3 hours long and should have been 2. So I'm sure Peter Jackson
not needed in there.
Yeah, half an hour of killing bugs for no reason.
Yeah, that would have been cool for 5 minutes, but eventually, it's weird when action scenes get boring.
Yeah.
But the whole sort of romance subplot where there's a kind of but not really romance between her and Kong. It's just it's the skiing scene where you sit there and you say, I understand there's a thing, but this is just weird. This is making me
For me, the one that really set it off where I finally just went, this movie's boring and I wanted to end, was on the Frozen River. 5 minutes of them just sliding around. And I just thought, okay, they have a connection. I've got it. Please, climb the building and kill him. And I went to a 9 o'clock showing, too, so the movie didn't get out till 12:30, 1 o'clock.
But that was just not needed. It was not needed at all. We get that there's a connection. Don't
make it creepy.
And they used it as a commercial for HDTV, too, later on.
I saw that. Have you heard about the crap they're getting for those? For the ones like the Tommy Boy one, and there was another, the Poltergeist one, because Chris Farley and the little girl had died, and so they're saying like it was in bad taste to use them in the commercials.
No, I haven't heard of that.
By that same logic, it's bad taste to use Sir Alec Guinness or any other actor who has ever died.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess in a commercial, yeah. I don't know.
I guess in the commercial it's because it's
that's
kind of a
people-
shameless plug kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's just because also people look for things to be offended by. So.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know. That was just on
Yeah.
Yahoo News, and I just happened to glance.
That's
at
something
it.
I want to cover on one of our bullet points in the future cast is the rabid fan syndrome, where we run into these people who just Nick and I were talking about it earlier about people just like when we were talking about the argument with the Australian dude in the government, Atkinson. He was talking about how the gamers are like, "Oh, you suck," and like, well, that's all the argument you bring to the table. That's kind of why did you even bother opening your mouth or taking the time to type that? And I said, well, I think you kind of see that everywhere. I mean, in political discussions, anything that has any kind of hard hitting scandal, you're going to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll give you a good reason for why I don't like politicians, not just that they suck.
Exactly. But that's the thing, is that people don't bring a lot of good arguments to the table, and
It's kind of that YouTube comment mentality.
Yeah.
That's probably the best description of that I've heard. I like that.
yeah, I've actually seen this video of this cute puppy being owned by an Asian couple, and they disabled the comments for obvious reasons. And I don't know, like they bathe the puppy, they play with the puppy, and like it's not like there's any kind of like anything sideways, but I'm sure that somebody took some assumption and went with it,
Yeah, that's.
And you see some kid talk about, I've been working out for whatever weeks, and he's he's like the skinny little thing, he's got like these little bulges in his arms, and people are like, gay. And like, why do you have to what good does it do to put that negativity out into the world?
Because it makes them cool. I mean, come on. I mean, think it's like the high school bully. Oh, you're stupid. All right, someone high five me.
Yeah,
That's how I gain my validation. And
well, that's also as I said, I've been looking for some good, like, nail it in a bullet point article. There's this point that I see that, like, a lot of people in what I would call a less mature mentality tend to see things as either it sucks or it's awesome. There's no middle ground. It either is good or is not good. It's binary.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the internet gives people this sort of sense of security where, like, they feel that they can say whatever the heck they want without any sort of repercussions at all. And so they just kind of, like, people, I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. You must. It's like, people will say things that, like, nobody would say ever in, like, a real-life situation. But they somehow think that they're exempt from any sort of blame because it's the internet and because they are hidden.
Oh yeah, do you remember that case where that woman savaged this poor 13-year-old girl on it was on Facebook or something, and the girl ended up committing suicide?
Yes, no, that was MySpace.
MySpace, yeah. And I thought, people were like, well, this woman should this or that, and I said, well, if the girl committed suicide, I kind of, and she's 13, I think the parents are partly to blame there. I mean, they need
to, some type of
they should have
monitoring.
They should have been aware, and if it's the parents bringing the lawsuit, I'm like, why didn't you know that was going on in the first place?
Yeah.
And so,
kind of like the Star Wars kid's mom, I think, sued afterwards, but because I think he went, like, didn't he lose it for a while or something?
Which Star Wars kid?
The chubby kid who's swinging
the chubby one.
Yeah.
Similar to Darth Maul from Episode 1.
Yeah.
But
wouldn't
not
that
really.
be awkward if he was listening to us right now?
Well, I wouldn't say it.
I mean, no disrespect if he is. I mean, yeah, the video was funny, but you know what? He did it better than I could have. I would have fallen over. He never fell. I would have.
And he's more famous than I am.
Well,
he's definitely.
But because of the way people can get away with just saying whatever they want, thinking that there's no repercussions, I would support the idea. I don't know if it's Korea or China that did it, where, like, you can't get on the internet without your particular personal identification number. And I think that should be implemented. Although people say, oh, Big Brother. I was like, think about how quickly we could stop spammers.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So there's that. We could track down these people trafficking identity theft, whatever. I mean, there's so many benefits to it. I don't think that I would mind it, because I think that it would dial up the decency and maybe even the IQ level of the discourse on the internet. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. What is good though is, most of the time you see like a YouTube video or something and somebody just responds that, oh, this sucks, or or this is gay. Then the next 10 comments are just people bashing that one person for being stupid.
Mob mentality.
And then you have flame war.
Yeah.
And then it just goes to a point where eventually the original poster stops allowing comments.
Yeah, and you see that with all kinds of stuff. For some reason, there are scandals like if there's news for or against Macintosh or for or against Microsoft, invariably somebody from the Mac camp jumps in and starts, trolling, and vice versa. And we had a thread on the Old Republic forums for the new MMO that's coming out, saying we would like a Mac client. If you haven't considered it, please consider it. Even if it's a cider wrapped port kind of deal, so we can play it natively on our MacBooks. And the biggest MMO, World of Warcraft, is available for the Mac. And suddenly these PC people are dropping in there to tell us that they shouldn't, or this, that. Like, if we get a Mac port, it's not at the expense of the PC port. What do you gain from objecting? And
being cool, getting high fives from other people that object.
That's the kind of thing I just don't get, I guess.
Mac users.
Anywho, let's tie this off. Well, that's where we're going to end for now. This is The Cavern Today, Over the Fence, signing off.
Mac users.
Yeah, this one's gone between feeling long and short just because I kind of got to pee. So. That could get edited out or stay in. I don't care.
Make that new guy do it.
So Moan here to tell you.
I wonder.
Hello, everyone.
I wonder if you could have sold that. That would have been funny. We should have tried that.
I bet he could have.
I could do my best. I mean, hello, everyone. This is Moog, and
Yeah, I think you could sell it.
I've called my dad a nerd before. I mean,
You're like an edgier clone of Moan.
That's I was gonna say.
Oh, quality just shot up. That was awesome.
When he said freaking earlier, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like
I feel kind of bad because I feel like I didn't have much to contribute during the podcast.
And you are actually on probation now because of that.
like my roommates always knew when I was playing my football game. I mean, because I would literally just sit there and scream at my players, sometimes at the top of my lungs. I get so angry at them.
My normal complaint is it's cheating. That's why the game has to cheat. Oh no, you couldn't do it fair. You had to cheat. Anyway, let you go. Thanks a lot.
All right, well, hey guys, it was a pleasure. Hopefully, get to do it again sometime.
All right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.